Long before humanity could understand it, Noah already knew secrets that would take centuries to rediscover. The Bible says that this man built a huge ark, but it never explains where he got that knowledge. How could a man, without any technical training, design a perfect vessel to survive total chaos? The answer is not in the canonical Genesis, but in much older texts that were deliberately hidden. There is something deeply buried in the ancient writings that changes everything you thought you knew about this patriarch. What Noah found in the caves of the giants could completely rewrite the history of all humanity. This is the truth that almost no one dares to tell in public, because it contradicts centuries of official interpretation. Today, we will descend together into those forbidden caves and reveal what has been hidden for thousands of years. What you are about to hear in the next few minutes challenges everything that conventional history has taught us up to today. Get ready, because once you know this truth, you will never be able to see the story of the flood the same way again. The Book of Enoch describes with extraordinary precision how 200 angels descended upon Mount Hermon. They did not come in peace, but with a dark purpose that would forever change the fate of all men. These celestial beings, known as the Watchers, made a solemn pact before stepping onto solid ground. They solemnly swore that they would teach all of humanity the most dangerous secrets of the universe known to them. The angel Azazel taught the metallurgy of iron, the forging of sharp swords, and the making of war shields. Semyaza revealed the forbidden enchantments and the hidden power that lies within the roots and sacred plants. The angel Amaros transmitted the secret art of dissolving enchantments, a knowledge reserved only for celestial beings. Barakiel was the one who deciphered the deepest secrets of astrology and the hidden movements of the heavens. Kokabeel taught men to read the signs written in the stars that predict the fate of the world. Each of these 200 watchers mastered a field of knowledge that surpassed all earthly understanding. Humanity received in just a few generations a technological leap that should have taken thousands of years to occur. But what they delivered to men was never a generous gift, but a curse disguised as wisdom. With those weapons and that knowledge, violence spread across the land like a plague without any kind of break. Men began to destroy each other with a power they were not prepared to handle responsibly. The Book of Jubilees adds a chilling detail that the vast majority of researchers overlook. These rebellious angels not only instructed men, but also fathered enormous children with human women. Their direct descendants were the Nephilim, giants of unprecedented brute strength and cruelty on Earth. These hybrid beings not only mastered the arts of war, but also inherited the knowledge of their parents. They built colossal fortresses, carved entire mountains, and created artifacts that defy all explanation. The caves where these giants lived were not mere natural shelters against the harshness of the weather. They were true centers of absolute power and forbidden knowledge that no mortal should have ever possessed. In those deep caves, records were kept, written on tablets made of materials that we do not even know today. They functioned as underground libraries where ancient technology was preserved away from human eyes. According to the oldest traditions in the world, Noah was not unaware of the existence of those caves or what they contained. In fact, several apocryphal texts openly suggest that someone guided him directly to those hidden places. Before the waters of judgment completely covered everything, Noah would have descended to the bowels of the earth. What he found in the depths of those caves were not just simple parchments deteriorated by the passage of time. They were intact records that contained the accumulated knowledge of an entire lost era before the Great Cataclysm. Some tablets were engraved on an unknown crystalline material that withstood the passage of countless centuries. Others contained technical diagrams so complex that not even the wisest scholars of our era could interpret them. The tablets that were found described advanced engineering principles that humanity would not rediscover until later. They contained detailed formulas for creating metal alloys, chemical compounds, and very strong materials. They also detailed star maps of extraordinary precision that we can only achieve today with satellite technology. The Ark of Noah was not an improvised construction by a shepherd frightened by the threats of an approaching storm. It was the direct result of applying a very advanced technical knowledge that came from celestial sources themselves. The dimensions described in Genesis reveal perfect proportions that align with modern naval engineering. 300 cubits in length, 50 in beam, and 30 in depth are by no means randomly chosen numbers. That exact ratio of 6:1 is precisely what the best contemporary naval engineers use. A boat built with those precise measurements has the maximum possible stability against large waves. Modern naval researchers have confirmed that these proportions minimize lateral rolling in open sea. It's as if the designer of the Ark had conducted hydrodynamic tests that we can only simulate on a computer today. But there are many more technical details in the account that reveal knowledge impossible for that ancient time. The text of Genesis specifically mentions the use of pitch on the inside and outside as a sealant for the structure. The Dead Sea Scrolls considerably expand this description with references to strange insulating materials. It is said that there is an unknown substance that completely prevented water filtration under very extreme pressures. Some renowned researchers firmly believe that this substance was a chemical compound of angelic origin. It was not just simple natural tar, but a material processed with much superior chemical knowledge. The Ark also had a sophisticated ventilation system described in Genesis in a technical and precise manner. An opening of exactly 1 cubit at the top allowed for controlled circulation of air from the interior. This ingenious design ensured the survival of thousands of animal species in a closed space for months. Without prior knowledge of aerodynamics and advanced biology, conceiving this system would be completely impossible. Each of the construction details of the Ark points directly to a non-human source of knowledge. But the fundamental question still remains unanswered. Where did Noah obtain that precise information? The Book of Enoch offers a revealing clue that directly connects Noah with the hidden knowledge of the Watchers. Enoch, Noah's great-grandfather, was taken to heaven itself, where he witnessed the deepest secrets of creation. Before his mysterious final ascension, Enoch passed on part of all that knowledge to his son Methuselah. Methuselah carefully preserved it and handed it over to his son Lamech, who ultimately entrusted it all to Noah. There was an unbroken chain of transmission of celestial wisdom that reached directly to the patriarch. 4 generations of guardians protected that forbidden knowledge, while the world sank into total corruption. Each link in that chain knew that a devastating trial was approaching, and that knowledge had to be preserved. But this sacred chain was not only oral. It also included physical records kept in very secure places. The caves of the giants were precisely those secret repositories of forbidden knowledge and ancestral wisdom. When Noah finally entered those dark caves, he accessed all the knowledge that the Watchers had given. Not only did he find ancient tablets with precise technical formulas, but also records of celestial events. hello extraordinarily detailed descriptions of the divine judgment that was approaching over the whole face of the earth. These ancient records confirmed point by point the warnings he had received directly from the Creator. But they also contained very specific instructions that went far beyond the mere construction of a ship. They described how to preserve viable seeds for years, how to induce animal hibernation, and how to purify water. They were genuine survival manuals written with a level of technical detail that astonishes any scientist. The technology of the Anti-deluvian era was not limited solely to shipbuilding or composite materials. Ancient texts speak of advanced medical knowledge that allowed for the cure of diseases today without treatment. They describe surgical procedures that were performed with instruments of absolutely astonishing precision. They also clearly mention the mastery of natural energies that modern science is just beginning to understand. The Nephilim used all these technologies not to do good, but to consolidate their total and brutal dominance. They built enormous fortified cities whose remains today's archaeologists cannot fully explain. They raised gigantic walls with stone blocks so perfectly assembled that not even a leaf can fit between them. They carved extensive underground tunnels that extend for whole kilometers beneath the most inaccessible mountains. In Baalbek, in present-day Lebanon, there are stone blocks weighing over 1,000 tons that no one knows how they were moved. The ruins of Pumapunku in Bolivia display cuts of millimeter precision made in diorite, the hardest rock. These monumental works require heavy and advanced machinery that supposedly did not exist in that remote era. However, the apocryphal texts attribute all these constructions to knowledge inherited directly from the angels. Each inexplicable megalith, every impossible-to-move block, and every mysterious tunnel is a testament to a lost era. And the patriarch Noah had direct access to the original blueprints and the techniques that made those enormous works possible. But the knowledge he found hidden in the caves went far beyond the simple, practical engineering known. The ancient tablets contained detailed information about the very structure of the cosmos and its fundamental laws. They described the exact movement of all the planets with a precision that Copernicus would take millennia to achieve. They detailed the complete cycles of the sun and the moon with enough precision to predict eclipses well in advance. This advanced astronomical knowledge enabled the precise calculation of the exact moment of the flood with certainty. Noah not only knew that a catastrophic flood would come, he knew exactly when it would arrive and with what intensity. He held in his hands a cosmic calendar that allowed him to count the exact days until the start of the final judgment. While the rest of the world lived in total ignorance, Noah methodically prepared every detail of his salvation. That is why he was able to calmly plan every aspect of the construction of the ark and the provision with mathematical precision. Each selected animal, each stored seed, each resource was calculated with a knowledge that was not of this world. The Dead Sea Scrolls preserve fragments that detail the last hours before the Great Flood. Noah absolutely completed all the preparations, following a precise schedule dictated by the records found. He sealed the ark carefully with the special substance described in the tablets, activating its full protection. The internal ventilation and drainage systems were configured exactly according to the cave instructions. Everything worked with absolute perfection, exactly as the Anti-deluvian records had predicted it would. When the waters of divine judgment began to rise, the ark proved to be an unparalleled masterpiece on Earth. It withstood devastating storms that destroyed entire cities and completely covered the highest mountains. It floated for long months without suffering any structural damage, while the whole world perished around it. No vessel built solely with primitive human knowledge could have achieved such a feat. Noah's survival and that of his family was not only a divine miracle, but also a triumph of lost technology. But when the waters finally receded and Noah stepped onto dry land again, something changed forever. The world he found before his eyes was completely different from the one he had known before the great catastrophe. The caves of the giants had been completely destroyed and buried under tons of mud and huge rocks. The ancient underground libraries where anti-deluvian knowledge was kept have completely ceased to exist. The sacred tablets, the technical records, and the blueprints that made the Ark possible were lost in the abyss. The flood not only destroyed the corrupt and violent humanity, but it also completely erased the technology they possessed. Entire cities disappeared beneath layers of sediment that geologists now find on all continents. The remains of that civilization lie at depths that conventional archaeology does not even dare to explore. It was a total and systematic elimination of all traces of the forbidden knowledge that the Watchers had delivered before. According to the Book of Enoch, this destruction was not an accident at all, but a deliberate part of the heavenly judgment. The fallen angels were to receive their eternal punishment, and their technological legacy was to disappear from the face of the earth. The forbidden knowledge they had shared was too dangerous to remain in the hands of mortals. It had corrupted entire civilizations and had given rise to the Nephilim and their terrible realm of absolute terror. Allowing that knowledge to survive judgment would have meant repeating the same destructive cycle over and over again. That is why the universal flood was total, absolute, and relentless against all vestiges of the era prior to the cataclysm. The waters not only cleansed the surface of the planet, but also sealed the caves and their hidden secrets forever. What was left under the mud was buried so deeply that humanity took millennia to suspect its existence. Noah managed to survive the catastrophe, but the knowledge that allowed him to do so did not fully cross into the new world. Only scattered and incomplete fragments of that knowledge managed to be transmitted to the following generations afterwards. These fragments would perfectly explain why certain ancient civilizations showed such astonishing advancements. The Egyptians, the Sumerians, and the Mayans possessed technical knowledge that seemed to arise from absolute nothingness. They built enormous pyramids, precise observatories, and hydraulic systems with an accuracy that still amazes us. Where exactly did they obtain that advanced knowledge, if not from the fragmentary remnants of the antediluvian world? The most likely answer could be found in the oral tradition that Noah passed directly to his three male sons. Shem, Ham, and Japheth received different parts of the knowledge that their father had managed to preserve during his life. Each of them took those valuable fragments to distant regions where they founded their lines of descent. This would convincingly explain why such distant civilizations share similar knowledge without contact. The pyramids of ancient Egypt, the ziggurats of Mesopotamia, and the pyramids of Mesoamerica share common roots. All these monumental structures reflect construction principles that come from the same ancestral source. That original and primordial source was the tablets that Noah rescued from the caves of the antediluvian giants. But not absolutely all the lost knowledge disappeared without leaving any trace on the face of the earth. Throughout the centuries and millennia, explorers and archaeologists have found objects that challenge all chronology. They are called arts, out-of-place artifacts that do not fit with the technology of their supposed time. The Baghdad Battery, the Antikythera mechanism, and the Piri Reis map are just the most famous examples. Each of these mysterious artifacts demonstrates a level of technical knowledge deemed impossible for its time. The Baghdad battery could have generated electric current 2,000 years before Volta invented his battery. The Antikythera mechanism calculated planetary positions with a precision that was not matched until the Renaissance. Are these objects perhaps surviving remnants of the technology that the celestial watchers taught to men? The oldest apocryphal texts suggest that some deposits of knowledge somehow survived the flood. Perfectly sealed caves in the highest mountains in the world may have preserved tablets for thousands of years. Recent archaeological discoveries in caves in Turkey and the Caucasus seem to partially confirm this theory. There have been found inscriptions carved in completely unknown languages on stones of astonishing antiquity. Some of those mysterious symbols match those described in the Book of Enoch as the writing of the Watchers. If these extraordinary findings were to be confirmed, we would be facing the first physical evidence of lost knowledge. But there are researchers who firmly believe that knowledge did not only survive on stone or clay tablets. Certain very ancient priestly families are said to have preserved secrets passed down since the times before the flood. The priests of Heliopolis in ancient Egypt claim to possess records of a previously destroyed civilization. The wisest Brahmins of ancient India speak of cosmic eras before where lost technologies existed. The ancient Mayans meticulously recorded cycles of destruction and rebirth that align with the biblical narrative. All these millennia-old traditions point to the same unsettling truth. There was a previous world that was much more advanced. And the patriarch Noah was the living bridge between that world lost forever and the civilization we know today. Its historical role was not only to save humanity from total extinction by building a ship. He was also the sacred guardian of the last fragment of knowledge that connected humanity with the celestial. The caves of the giants were the final repository of an ancient wisdom that should never have existed in this world. The knowledge of the Watchers was of celestial origin, not earthly, and their presence here had serious consequences. It corrupted primitive humanity, spawned nightmare monsters, and provoked a judgment that devastated all that was known. What the Watchers brought from the sky was pure power, and no mortal was prepared to handle it. The price of that knowledge was the total destruction of an entire world that had reached levels unimaginable today. But it also left us with profound questions that we continue to ask ourselves thousands of years after that great catastrophe. Was all pre-flood knowledge truly completely destroyed, or is there something left waiting to be finally discovered? Are there still sealed caves beneath remote mountains that hold tablets with the secrets of the fallen angels? Could the extraordinary technology that allowed the Ark to be built be waiting for us beneath layers of ancient rock? Each new archaeological excavation in the world brings us one step closer to answers that could change history. The truth about the antediluvian past is not in textbooks, but underground, waiting to be uncovered. And perhaps when we finally open those sealed caves, we will discover that our ancestors knew more than we do. Noah found the deepest truth in the dark depths of the earth and used it to save his entire species. That ancestral truth remains buried somewhere unknown, waiting for the next explorer brave enough to seek it. The lost technology before the great universal flood is not just an ancient myth, it is an enigma still to be deciphered. And every ancient text that researchers study reminds us that official history barely scratches the surface. The definitive answers are down there, in the perpetual darkness, where the giants kept their greatest secrets. What Noah discovered in those depths changed the course of human history, and its echo resonates to this day. If this journey into the depths of forbidden history has made you question everything, this is just the beginning. Subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell, because there are even deeper mysteries waiting to be revealed.